Roxy, come here. Come here. Did you want to go out? Do you want your leash? Did you want your leash, Roxy? Hey, Roxy. Roxy. Roxy, come here. Well, come here. Well, come on. What are you doing, baby? All right. All right, silly. Okay, everybody say hi to Roxy. That's my little sidekick. She's a 10-year-old Rottweiler pit mix. Crazy as a shithouse rat, but I love her. She's like a chick magnet. 10-year-old chick magnet. Anyway, okay, so look at getting down to business. I'm scouring, looking to see what's going on with the border, and nobody's reporting jack shit. Nothing. The only thing that I've been able to find is this clip that I'm going to play for you here in a minute. But in this, I see a good old company that I reported on back when I was doing my series of reports on the Orlando nightclub, the Pulse, the gay bar, and this Omar Mateen, the alleged shooter. That, you guys have to follow that. You know what? It's in my archives. I'll see if I can upload that. This guy worked for an outfit called G4S. G4S, I thought it was an Israeli company based on how they were basically kidnapping Palestinian children and throwing them in prison and treating them, beating them and all kinds of shit. And as I was doing this work on the Pulse nightclub, this Omar Mateen worked for G4S, was also an accredited actor in several films. And as it turns out, I found out back then that G4S held security contracts with the Custom Border Patrol and got them through the Homeland Security. As it turns out, it's a British company based out of Britain. But what they were doing back then, they were grabbing up illegals and shipping them wherever the fuck they wanted to go. Anywhere on the continent, anywhere on the whole heartland of U.S. All they had to do is say where they wanted to go, and they'd get sent there by G4S, okay? Well, they're back in the fray. And I caught it, a glimpse of it, because of this clip I'm going to play for you. Hopefully I can, I had to record the audio separate, so hopefully I can line it up right. We'll see how well I do. Anyway, and nothing's being reported on out of Tijuana, nothing down in Mexico that I could find so far. Well, I'll keep looking, but at any rate, well, so I always go to the other border states, and the largest one, folks, is Texas. It eats up more linear miles than the other three border states. That would be New Mexico, Arizona, and California combined. Texas has more linear feet. Well, interesting enough, they pulled 300 back when migrants were trying to breach the fence in Tijuana. And so they pulled 300 out of Texas, which they should be sending more. At any rate, so let's go into talk about this with G4S here just for a second. Here's an article out of Security Informed. Security on Wheels, G4S, U.S. Customs and Border Protection Prisoner Transport Bus. This year, the National Sheriff's Association shows G4S displayed a custom-built, fortified U.S. Customs and Border Protection prisoner transport bus. Buses like this one logged 19 million miles last year, transporting nearly 1 million illegal immigrants under a contract with the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol to cover all sectors along the U.S.-Mexican border. The CBP buses serve as a mobile detention center to transport illegal immigrants to processing centers, court appearances, hospitals, prisons, and depending on outcomes, back to the border. The CBP's contract with G4S is a leading supplier of comprehensive security solutions. Frees up Border Patrol staff. You'll see how much they free them up when you see this clip. It's a fucking joke. Frees up the Border Patrol staff to remain in the field where they can be most effective. Don't forget, folks, Trump's a fucking traitor. He's signed fucking USMCA. And these guys know it. They're turning themselves in. We're here. Okay, give us asylum. It's like fucking a joke. And so G4S will be busing them to wherever the fuck they want to go. We already know that they don't make their court appearances and all this other shit. So anything they want to sling at you is all dog shit. So here's what they quote. The benefit of our CBP buses is effectively to give CBP's staff more time to do the important work of tracking and apprehending illegal immigrants rather than spending their valuable time transporting them long distances once they are caught. Oh, what about just sending them back over the fucking border? And there's more to be said on this. So anyway, it's an example of how G4S can provide support services to empower law enforcement to be more effective, even in these times of limited resources, while ensuring that the security is surreptitiously maintained at each step of the process. End quote. Also, the NSA show in Anaheim, G4S uses their large booth presence to emphasize the G4S mission to provide a range of private security solutions to supplement sheriff and law enforcement agencies around the country by performing non-sworn duties and help agencies meet their need to stretch their budget dollars. Okay, and let me get into another little thing. One of the things that I found out about this G4S company while I was reporting on various false flag shootings, G4S is also one of these instructional outfits that put together these goddamn drills that are being run simultaneous to these false flag events. That's the company, okay? So understand the fucking criminality in our government with these bullshit. There's no fucking end to it, people. G4S was running these drills, such as the Pulse nightclub, the Roseburg shooting where I live. It had drills going on, not simultaneous, but they were running drills. Companies like G4S were involved in these teaching drills. You know, we'll do a drill of a shooting, you know, or whatever, and we get all the players together, which are compartmentalized, of course. But at any rate, all right, let's go on into what's really going on in Texas right now.
This road right here is where the majority of people come up to turn themselves in. And they usually start around 3 o'clock, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and they continue going throughout the night.
And the model that they do is they come up that road and they just look for the first agent and say, "Hey, I'm here." And really, that's all there is to it. They're not hiding. They're not looking to get away from anybody. They cross the river, they walk, they look for the first agent, and they say, "Hey, I'm here."
We're going to use it to get a view of what's going on around us because it's such dense growth, such dense trees and brush. We're going to get a gist of what's going on around us. That's for our safety, and that's also so we can know if a group is crossing. But primarily in this instance, we're doing it for our safety. I'm looking at a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think 12 adults or 12 people, maybe more. There's a baby. They're obviously going to turn themselves in. At this point, we need to go interact with them. We got 13 or 14 bodies by Rincon, by juniors. Gotta go. Gotta go. Hola, ¿necesitas agua? ¿Estás bien? Sí. Where do y'all come from?
¿De dónde vienen?
Hondureño.
Honduras.
Honduras? So it's two families?
¿Son dos
Two dos familias?
Tres.
Tres? Okay. And so Honduras and Guatemala?
Honduras.
Yeah. And are they asking if they're wanting to find a Border Patrol agent?
¿Están buscando un agente o qué es lo que les dijeron? ¿Buscan a los agentes al cruzar?
Sí, de migración.
Okay. Ildefonso, would you ask them if they're going to ask for asylum or?
¿Van a pedir asilo ahorita los agentes o qué es lo que van a decir?
Bueno, yo me vine porque el papá de los niños me maltrataba.
So she came because the father of the children used to assault her and beat her up.
Okay. So it's a domestic abuse situation?
Así que es cosa de violencia en la casa.
Sí, ultrafamiliar porque lo denuncié en Honduras, pero en Honduras vale más el dinero, los que tienen dinero y los que no, pues los que no valemos.
So she made a report with authorities over there.
Yeah.
But that over there it's money and they didn't do anything about it.
Okay.
So she's fleeing from that.
Muchas gracias.
Pásale por acá. No se enfila, por favor. Ya, hermanitos ustedes, ¿verdad? And she's with her 3 kids. ¿Y usted, señora, con quién viene? Con mi tope, ¿ves? ¿Y ustedes? Ah, con tu mamá. Sí. Vayan quitándose las cintas de los zapatos, por favor. Les voy a dar una bolsa para que se Muchacha, igual yo. Ahora ¿cómo se llama de la bolsita?
Tiene cola en el cabello.
Mantén en tu mano, ¿ok?
¿Izquierda?
También. A ver, ¿te ayudo?
Ya tengo. Este ve. Sí,
Se te van a guardar, ¿eh? Cuando te vayas, te los regresamos.
Hola. Bienvenidos. Tell them we're journalists in the United
Somos periodistas aquí en Estados Unidos.
USA. Ask them where they're from.
¿De dónde vienen?
Honduras? Honduras? Okay. Guatemala? Okay. Did y'all travel the whole trip together?
¿Venían juntos en el camino?
Ahorita nos encontramos aquí.
They met up over on the other side of the river.
Okay. In the warehouse? Warehouse?
¿Los estuvieron en la bodega o en dónde?
No, apenas llegamos.
He said they just got here.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Allá está la.
Mucho gusto. Me llamo Brandon.
Vámonos.
Nice to meet you. Mucho gusto. You know, you think about U.S. workers, and especially low-income workers. You think about U.S. sovereignty, and you think this is messed up. And then on the other hand, you think like, well, I mean, you can't really blame them. We have policies that allow it.
The woman that we just spoke to, she says she's requesting
Asylum.
because she has a domestic situation at home, and that what she's claiming is that there's no justice in her home country, and that her husband was not going to be held accountable because he had
Right, which
money
is
power.
like putting a wall right here isn't going to stop someone like them from coming right to here. If this is the wall, it's not going to stop them from coming here on U.S. soil and saying, I claim asylum, or I'm requesting asylum.
And
This isn't an enforcement issue. These people aren't trying to sneak in. They're trying to turn themselves in.
over there, they're telling them, walk across, keep turning, keep following this road, keep turning to the left, and look for the nearest authority or agent and say, I'm here. And that is what we're seeing.
And we're going to see more and more of these groups come all evening long. And we're going to see it tomorrow, and we're going to see it the next day. And every day this is going to happen in a steady stream right here on this road. And these people are going to come and turn themselves in. These people had to go through the Gulf Cartel to get here, and the Gulf Cartel made a lot of money off of every one of those people. That's at least $100,000 for the Gulf Cartel that they just made off of that right there. You notice the clothes they came in. They said they've been in Reynosa on the border city for 3 days. That's the hub of the Gulf Cartel. They had to go through the Gulf Cartel to get here. Those clothes that they're wearing are not the clothes that they left Honduras in or Guatemala in. The cartel tries to spiff up the family units. It's a PR campaign, really, a PR campaign that makes the cartel look good, and it's a PR campaign that makes what's happening not threatening, right? It makes it where it's not threatening, where these people are more relatable. Those people are going to be sending money back to the Gulf Cartel for the next 10 years, 5 years.
Those people may have a relative up north in any major city working. That relative is the one that's having to front the money or make payments.
I tend to wonder if this wasn't a staged event here. For one, they're showing only human shields coming across the border. And what the hell is the deal with the Border Patrol? They're not even doing their fucking job. They should be stopping these people coming in the first place. So this is a dereliction of duty. It's a total bunch of BS. These guys... And then we got the G4S. Well, okay. I wouldn't really necessarily ever go with Breitbart News, Jurag, but they're the only ones that seem to be reporting on it. And here's what the report says. And I'm going to comment real quickly after this. The government reports indicate that more than 1,100 Central American migrants cross illegally per day into the U.S. along the southwest border with Mexico. Let's see. Breitbart News traveled to the Rio Grande Valley sector of South Texas, where hundreds of migrants cross daily. For one, this reporter, what the hell is his name? Brandon Darby. One of the first things he said when he when he introduced himself to the border invaders, that the U.S. is very. What did he say? The U.S. is very generous, come on in kind of attitude. Fuck you, motherfucker. So anyway, Breitbart News Border Cartel Chronicles editor-in-chief Brandon Darby and journalist Alfonso Ortiz traveled to Texas border to film groups of Central American migrants as they crossed from Reynosa, Mexico, and entered into U.S. The trip followed by reports of hundreds of migrants crossing the border in this sector on a daily basis. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's got to be 1,000 a day at least, or more. I'm sure it's more. They're never going to tell you the truth. Wait until you see what's coming up next after this. But at any rate, Darby and Ortiz interviewed some of the families and learned why they were making the hazardous and costly journey into the U.S. Following the interview, Darby and Ortiz discussed the impact of the migrants have on keeping the wages down for Americans seeking lower skilled employment. Of course, they're going to turn this into China, folks. You work for a fucking kick in the ass and a bowl of rice. The migrants are currently able to exploit loopholes in the U.S. immigration and human trafficking laws by attempting to claim asylum. Look at since Trump and Mexico and Canada signed the USMCA, and the courts, remember, they're part of it too. The courts, the let's see. The Federal Reserve, what did they say? They found their method to keep wages low, stagnant. That's what they said. But what they meant, they want them low. They want to drive them down. And that's exactly what this shit's about. And then some. This is simply population replacement so that they can bring in so many of these that drives the wages down and turns us into a fucking shithole. So the U.S. immigration and human trafficking laws, by attempting to claim asylum, they also discuss the revenue stream these migrants represent to the Mexican cartels. Yeah, if they're getting $100,000 for a dozen people, fuck, that's pretty good money. And I'm wondering, is that for the whole journey, or is that for just getting them from, say, Mexico City to the border and showing where to cross at? Who knows? But they're fucking raking it in too. You'd think that the U.S. Workers, Darby says, and especially low-income workers, you'd think about U.S. sovereignty and you'd think this is messed up. Well, fuck, you think not, motherfucker? And then, on the other hand, Darby continued, you'd think, you can't really blame them. Yeah, you can't, because they're getting encouraged to come. They're getting promises. People are making promises to them, just like under Obama. It's no different under Trump. Remember, he's a continuation. He's getting done. Trump is the one. I called it from day one when I did my first report on Trump. He is the closer, the New World Order closer. I don't think I have to prove myself on this any further with him signing overall sovereignty to fucking the United Nations through USMCA. The same shit's going on with the European people as well. As a matter of fact, they just some general just called what the hell's his name? Macron, a fucking traitor. Well, he should be treated as a traitor. Look at you guys over there in France have a lot of lampposts. So that woman just spoke with Ortiz injected. She was just requesting asylum because she had a domestic situation at home. She claims that there's no justice in her home country and that her husband was not going to be held accountable because he had money and power. About these types of crossings, Darby continued, we're going to see more and more of these groups come in, yeah. And with G4S taking them wherever the fuck they want to go, you betcha they are. There's no stop to this. There's not going to be any stop to it. And I'm really surprised there's no media coverage going on right now at all. None. So the next we want to go to Tornillo, Texas. I think you guys, if you followed my work on the border invasion, one of the things that I pointed out that under Donald Trump, his tent cities ballooned, meaning it exploded. Take a look at this. These motherfuckers got it going on. Tornillo, Texas. The Trump administration has put the safety of thousands of teens at migrant detention camps at risk by waiving FBI fingerprint checks for their caregivers and short staff of mental health workers, according to an Associated Press investigation and a new federal watchdog report. None of the 2,100 staffers at the tent city holding more than 2,300 teens in the remote Texas desert are going through rigorous FBI fingerprint and background checks, according to the Health and Human Services Inspector General memo published Tuesday. Instead, Tornillo is using checks conducted by a private contractor that has less access to comprehensive data, thereby heightening the risk that an individual with criminal history could have direct access to the children. I wonder if it's G4S. It could be. Fuck, who knows? In addition, the federal government is allowing the nonprofit running the facility, BCFS Health and Human Services, to sidestep mental health and care requirements. Under federal policy, migrant youth shelters generally must have one mental health clinician for every 12 kids. That's a lot. Fuck. But the federal agency's contracts with the BCFS allows it to staff Tornillo with just one clinician for every 100 children. That's not enough to provide adequate mental health care, they say. The Inspector General, it's like, it's more ridiculous and more ridiculous every fucking day on this shit. The BCFS said that it has one mental health clinician for every 50 children at Tornillo. Oh, so they changed the story. If we look at this map and look at Tornillo, it's just it's like a piece of sand on a beach compared to the Texas-Mexico border. And then right next door to it is what? New Mexico, unprotected. Still, I have not found anything about anybody sending anything to help with the crossings in New Mexico. But with the reporting on this Texas alone, it's pretty incredible. So, temporary shelter becoming permanent. The Trump administration announced in June it would be opening a temporary shelter for up to 360 migrant children in this isolated corner of Texas. Less than 6 months later, the facility has expanded into a detention camp holding thousands of teenagers and shows every sign of becoming a more permanent outfit. A spokesman for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Mark Weber, said no decisions have been made about when Tornillo will close. I think we must, maybe we should take a look at Texas border cities, because none of this article here really does the justice, I don't think. Let's see here. We'll go back down to this one and then we'll move on to some other shit. By law, migrant children traveling alone into the U.S. must be sent to a government shelter where they can stay until they can be united with relatives or other sponsors while awaiting immigration court hearings. Migrant children's time in government custody has grown longer, in part because of the Trump administration's new requirements for deep background checks on sponsors who agree to take the young immigrants in. Right. That has resulted in the detention of a record 14,000 migrant children so far. Well, really, this all should just piss the fuck out of you, and primarily because these guys are more concerned with building fucking tent cities for illegal immigrants instead of building some kind of shelters for American homeless, and especially these guys that lost their homes and everything that, if they didn't get killed during these DEW fires, which is this is a military assault on America. Actually, the border invasion, the fires, the whole shooting match is an assault on America. What did it say in the Georgia Guidestones? Is that what we're seeing the beginning of? What does the term Holocaust mean? It means sacrifice by fire. Is that what we're witnessing? The great sacrifice by fire so that they can bring their Jewish Antichrist in? So anyway, the Navy draws up plans for Austrian tent cities for up to 120,000 migrants arrested at the border, including giant city of 47,000 at California's Camp Pendleton. What are we under? Martial law. We're under Admiralty law. So for them to build it on Camp Pendleton, which is part of the Navy, Admiralty law, so there's no jurisdiction, and they can do what the fuck they want, basically, is what they're telling you, because they're going to build it on a military base. But so the Navy planned The Navy plan to obtained by Time Magazine calls for tent cities of 25,000 at abandoned airfields near Mobile, Alabama, in Orange Beach, Alabama, in Orange Beach, Alabama, and another in Silver Hill. A mega city is being proposed at Camp Pendleton's, a massive marine training facility in Southern California that could hold 47,000. The memo proposes a camp of similar size at the former Navy weapons station in Concord near San Francisco, according to a report. A Marine Corps Air Station in Yuma, Arizona is another proposed site. The Department of Health and Human Services has also asked the Pentagon to prepare to house 20,000 unaccompanied minors at the military bases. Yeah, what about taking care of our people? You know, this really just should piss the fuck out of everybody. Well, you know, I guess I'm going to leave this report as it sits, and I'll catch you in the next report on it. I'll continue looking. By the way, if you find any kind of intel for me, please leave it in the comments section on any video, and leave a specific note as to what it pertains to regarding the 4 bordering U.S. states with Mexico. I can't keep my eye on all of them, so I kind of hope that you guys will help me out a little bit on that. Like I said, make sure you leave a note as to what it's pertaining to. You guys make sure you subscribe to me on BitChute. You can follow me on Facebook, Wardo Rants as well, and also on my new bit.tube channel, which I'm really liking that channel. I just wish I would have found it earlier, like when they took my big channels down back in March. But at any rate, so you guys, thanks for following this work and the support. Try to share it out wherever you can, and I'll catch you in the next report. Wardo out.